Start off with the state of Michigan's economy. Recently, Business Leaders for Michigan came out with their quarterly survey, and 37% of CEO and presidents of Michigan companies expect an economic decline in the state in the next 18 months. Just last quarter, only 6% of those CEOs expected decline. I talked with Doug Rothwell, he's the CEO of Business Leaders for Michigan, about the uncertainty and the changing factors. Doug, let's talk about that survey where you saw a significant change in the number of CEOs that are concerned about an economic downturn in the next 18 months here in Michigan. What were some of the factors and the thought behind that?
Well, I think most of it's around the election, Christy. I think people were concerned about what's going to happen nationally, but also here in Michigan. It's a lot of change all at once, and business hates uncertainty, right? And so I think until that we get that behind us, but you also have the tariffs and some of the larger policies that the Trump administration has put in place, that some of which are working, some of which they're concerned about. But I think it's generally the uncertainty with the election that's the big issue.
You have these leaders of companies who are also employing people who may feel that they've just recovered salary-wise, or they may just feel like they've recovered from the last recession, but here we go forecasting that something could be coming on the horizon then. How do they balance being able to move forward with business, but kind of still looking to the side saying, we might need to coast for a minute?
Well, we've been talking for a number of years now about how this recovery has been one of the longest recoveries on record. We're up to like almost 9 or 10 years now, so I think people are hedging their bets a little bit, but it's all relative. Even here in the North American market, the auto sales are still projected to be next year around 17 million. Well, we would have thought that is a terrific year in most years. So I think we should be cautious about this, but at the same time realize that we're still on pretty firm ground given where we've been in the past.
One of the things that you and I have talked about over a number of years is talent and growth of talent here in Michigan, and the fact that companies trying to retain that talent and get that talent to fill the holes that they have in their companies. What are CEOs telling you about? Has that changed at all? Is it easier for them to fill those jobs?
No, it's just getting harder. I think in Michigan it's particularly a problem because we're getting older as a state. Demographically we are, and the other problem is we're not growing population-wise. So, if you were in a state like Texas that's getting a lot of in-migration, it's easier for you to meet your talent needs because people are just coming over the border. Here, we have people that are, we just have a stagnant population. So in our view, we think one of the biggest things we've got to focus on is population growth. And until we really get that going, it's going to continue to be a talent shortage here in our state.
What do you think are some of the key factors, though, to population growth and getting people to come here to Michigan to stay here and to invest here?
You got to have industries and jobs that people want to be in. It becomes as simple as that. I think one of the things that we suffered from for a long time was that the auto industry didn't have a really good image, and so people thought of Michigan as this old line manufacturing state. We know that's not true. We know that automotive's on the forefront of all the technology changes, but I think that it's going to take a while to get that message out there. It's starting. We're seeing it here in Detroit. Look at the number of young people that want to be in Detroit these days. But that's what you got to have, is you got to have the kind of jobs and the kind of sectors that people feel are growth opportunities for the long-term future.
So Business Leaders for Michigan has said we want to be a top 10 state. What are some of the things that has to happen for us to become a top 10 state when you're looking around the rest of the country?
Yep. Well, with this election that we have coming up, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. There's some great things that have been done these last 8 years, especially with fiscal policy. Let's keep on that track and make sure that we're managing our money well. We've got to make some investments. The way we're paying for our roads right now, it's an embarrassment. Why would people want to invest in us if we can't invest in ourselves? So we've got to fix that problem. But then the last is what we just talked about, is let's make sure that we really take advantage of some of the assets we have to grow jobs in places and areas that young people particularly are going to find attractive. So the work we're doing to try to grow the mobility industry, critically important. There's a couple others we could work on as well.
Let's talk a little bit about education before we wrap up here, and the push to change our K-12 system or be able to invest a little bit more in some different places. Where are you finding that CEOs are standing on that in their ability to get involved in the education question in Michigan?
Well, that's a big question because it's a very complicated system. One of the things we find in Michigan is that K-12 has got more units of the K-12 system than most states do, and our performance is not really where we want it to be. We're an average spending state, below average results. We got a big player to get Launch Michigan started, which is this coalition to try to change all that, the trajectory of education, but it's going to take a while, Christy, and I think that what I would say to people is that the good news is there's a lot of interest in making it happen. There's an organization in place now to make it happen, but we shouldn't expect results overnight.
All right, and we're going to continue to watch that. It's good to see you, Doug.
Good to
Thanks
see
so
you
much
too.
for joining us.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's bring in Nolan Finley of the Detroit News and Stephen Henderson of WDET. Hey guys, it's always good to see you.
Good to be here.
Hanging out here at Cobo, and it's really interesting. You have most of the leaders in the state of businesses that can make some serious decisions, and they are looking at what could possibly be happening to the state economy in the next couple of, months or year or so. Anyway, what should they be concerned about, Nolan?
Well, there's internal factors and external factors. Internally, we are seeing a softening of the auto market. Sales are flattening. Some are declining. The latest reports weren't great. So I think a lot depends on the skill of the big three to manage a downturn. They haven't been so great at that in the past. So if they can keep this flattening from becoming an outright plunge in sales, I think Michigan will be okay. External factors are what's going on in Washington with the tariffs. I mean, the tax cuts helped Michigan, helped the auto companies, and then that benefit was taken away with these steel tariffs and other tariffs on Michigan agricultural products that are going to slow down the economy. Everybody knows they'll slow down the economy. For how long is the question?
Yeah, the other thing, the other internal factor, of course, is the change in leadership in Lansing. Whether you're in favor of who wins or against who wins, change is instability, and that's the thing that business reacts to more than anything else. We don't know what the new governor will do or not do, what they will be able to do with the legislature they have, and so if you're a business person, you're still sort of waiting to see how that all turns out.
And I think really taking a look at how everyone perceives Michigan in the rest of the country as well. So if you have a change of leadership and they start to work on education in a different way, or they bring more incentives to get businesses to come here to Michigan, those are a lot of different factors that are in play, Nolan.
I don't think you're going to see more incentives. I think what businesses will be looking for is that there's no fallback. From a business perspective, gridlock would be good, because the tax and regulatory structure, they're where they need to be right now. You just don't want to give anything back. Education, Michigan has struggled with that. It's going to continue to be a problem. Training workers for the jobs companies want to bring here continues to be a problem. It seems to defy all efforts to fix it, although I do think we're making some progress in that area.
Yeah, it's a retention of students who are here as well, so we're not losing that brain drain, but also making sure that we do have the talent to fill the jobs, and that is one of the things that I was talking to a couple of CEOs about, that they're concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, businesses are always looking at the tax structure, the regulatory structure, but they also are looking at talent and talent development and retention, in which we're terrible at here in the state of Michigan right now. I mean, we're really behind what other states are able to do. We're also behind in terms of how our public school system aligns with the goals of creating that talent pool and giving people opportunity. They're going to be looking at how the new governor goes at those things, and they're not unrelated. The tax structure is the way it is, while we're starving infrastructure and schools and all of these things that feed into this development of talent. You got to balance it somehow. The new governor is going to have to figure out where money comes from to do those things, and some of it may have to come from business.